be making freshly milled sourdough bread and freshly milled chocolate chip cookies. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a novice on this whole freshly milled thing. I'm not a novice in sourdough bread. I've been making sourdough bread for about 2 years now, but I have not milled my own flour. So I just went ahead, bought myself a mill. It's a Nutri-Mill from Azure Standard. I got on this whole bandwagon after listening to Bread Becker's she was on Lisa Bass's podcast, and she talked about all the benefits of milling your own flour. And I just thought, hey, you know, I love making sourdough bread. What if I would just take that a step further and mill my own flour? So I've made it once before and it was actually fairly good, but it was a little dense. So I have a couple tips and tricks. I've been really researching it, and hopefully this time I can get it a little bit airier. But yeah, I'm just working on it. I'm learning. And so we're also going to be making cookies with this flour that I have made before, and my family did love them. So let's hope they turn out well again. I just love, what I love the most about sourdough is the simplicity of it. So it's literally flour, water, and salt. And if it's put together in the right way, it's kind of like an art, you know, if it's put together in the right way, it will become a delicious bread that my family loves to eat, that is nourishing. So that is what I love about sourdough. Freshly milling my own grains just takes that a step further into even more simplicity. It's literally just the whole grain plus all those added nutrients. It just seemed like it really made sense to me. Kate and I have the kitchen to ourselves today, so we are going to town. I am still trying to figure out this grain mill. This is only the second time I'm using it, so I'm still fiddling around on the grain size and what I need, how fine to grind it and everything. But so far it's been working very well. I'm going to be using the same recipe that I use for my other sourdough. I'm just going to be swapping out fresh milled cup for cup, and I'm going to be doing a couple little different things because I'm using fresh ground. So the first thing that I'm doing different is I'm going to be soaking 3/4 of the flour with all of the water. And while I have my mill out, I am going to also grind my flour for the cookies. For this, I don't need to weigh it. I'm just going to measure out 4 cups. And I found a recipe that is constructed specifically for fresh ground flour. So I am a little more confident with that recipe. I have tried it before and it did turn out. This is a fairly straightforward recipe. It is just butter, sugar, and all the basics.
Got it cracking. Remember what you say, Jeans and Dreams? You.
So when I made these before, they were a little drier and grainier than my normal cookies. And Joel said he loved it. He actually would have wanted me to add nuts too, so I didn't today. But I think next time I'm going to try adding nuts as well. Yep. Now back to the bread. Another thing I'm doing differently is usually I just mix it together with my hands, and I'm going to use the mixer today, and I'm going to knead it for 10 minutes. I heard that fresh ground flour needs more kneading, so I am going to try that. My starter is looking nice and bubbly, and I'm just going to measure it out and add that and the salt. These cookies I had to pack down a little bit with my hand. They were a little bit crumblier. And then I also smashed the tops down with a cup. And now I'm having a little bit of a brief kitchen lull. The bread is proofing, the cookies are baking, the dishes are washed, and here is when a kitchen is at its primest. All the stuff going, and you can just kind of sit back and watch it happen. So they are done. They turned out real well. The only thing is the sugar didn't seem to dissolve this time. I'm not sure what happened. So you kind of crunched on sugar on every bite, which I didn't really like. So I don't know, like, is that something to do with fresh milled flour? I did read somewhere that sometimes they use like a liquid sweetener if you're using whole grain. So that is something I'd have to work with. And the cookies are all done, and I am just set them up, and I'm waiting for the kids to come home from school, and hopefully they'll devour them. You know, if you spend a lot of time on something, you want your kids to appreciate it. So we'll see. And they did love them. They ate almost half of them. So this is evening now. I'll put the times and the steps down below in the description, very detailed hopefully, so you can have more of a step-by-step and ratios down there. But this is after supper, and I am just going to shape them, and then I'm going to let them rest on the counter for half an hour to kind of develop that skin on top to make it a little bit easier scoring. I am going to flour my banneton baskets. I used to use a liner for my baskets and then realized, it looks better without it because I get those little ridges in my bread. So I started using it without it, and it took a while to get it floured enough that they come out easy. But it was just a matter of flouring them enough. I decided to do one loaf oval and one round artisan bread. I am going to try to use it for sandwiches, so that's why I wanted one with more like a sandwich style bread. And then I put them in bags and I put them in the fridge, and they are there for the night. Now this is early the next morning. I just flipped them out and I dusted them with more flour, and then I scored them. Now this is the fun part. This is nothing but fun for me. I have a few basic scoring that I always revert back to. Here is, it's going to be like a wheat stalk and then just carving on the end. Now I bake mine at 475 for 20 minutes, and then I take the lid off and it has that nice rise, and then I bake it for another 15 minutes with the lid off. And here is the finished product just after it came out of the oven. And now I'm ready for the second one. I only have one Dutch oven, so I can't do two at a time. I'm always doing one at a time. For the loaf, I always just score with lines, just 3 lines, 3 diagonal lines. And here's the finished product. They did turn out better than the first time. They're still a little dense, but they are very delicious. And I think maybe next time I'm going to try to do 25% of my organic all-purpose flour, and like the rest of it I think I'm going to do whole ground. So yeah, I'm just going to keep working with it. But I was very pleased with the results today. My family eats the bread, I eat the bread, and we love it. So thank you for watching, and I hope this gave you some encouragement. I hope you have a great day.